Well, there we are. Home sweet home. Good old games room. Should be arriving in... oh, about a couple of seconds actually. Nice! Good to get back into, just some familiar surroundings. I left this in a state, didn't I? Well, I guess whilst I'm wearing this stupid get-up, I'll probably talk about one of my most favourite TV shows ever. Obviously, scarf all that, you've guessed it, Doctor Who, because you're not stupid. Basically, I grew up on Doctor Who from, I think probably from the age of about, I think 3 was probably the first time I actually saw it. I used to be absolutely terrified of the music. I just remember one of the very first episodes I actually saw of Doctor Who was this one called Doctor Who and the Silurians, I think, which is the third Doctor's second story. It was just, I don't know, it was very creepy. All the eerie sort of sound effects that they had sort of in the late 60s, early 70s was just, it was really cool. So, and I just remember there's this particular part where there was a Silurian sort of hiding in amongst some hay in a shed somewhere in the country, and there's it's really freaky. And I remember they had the little red light on their heads that would make that crazy sound when they were like sort of shooting someone. So. But yes, Doctor Who brings back so many memories for me. Look, the show is actually celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, which is a goddamn milestone for any TV program. It did have its ups and downs, periods where it wasn't on. I'll get to that in a tick. But yeah, it's for it to be around and as popular as it is right now is absolutely astounding. It originally aired in 1963 with the late Bill Hartnell as playing the role as the mysterious grandfather and his granddaughter Susan, who I think was it Ian and Barbara, I think, were the first companions to they were actually Susan's teachers, I think. That sort of they sort of stumbled into the TARDIS, and we all found out that the Doctor wasn't quite human, and his little police box actually was a lot bigger on the inside than it was on the out, and they went on all sorts of fantastic journeys through time and space. It was a pretty, I think, sort of in the context of, say, like Star Trek, which was around that sort of time as well. It was a fairly adventurous show, especially for the BBC. So, yeah, fantastic show. And then obviously they went through different time periods where, say, I think the Reign of Terror. They've got like I think the earlier Doctor Who stories are very set pieces, sort of set during certain periods of time, like say the Roman era, things like that. So. Yeah, it's really sort of cool, and then later on they sort of, or even actually, they brought in sort of the real science fiction sort of elements with the Daleks and things like that, and even Will Hartnell's final episode where the Cybermen first made their appearance, and unfortunately, was it? I think the only 3 episodes that exist, or I can't remember. A lot of the old episodes actually have gone missing in action because the BBC did scrap them, but that's a whole lot of research you guys can do yourself. So unfortunately, there's a lot of Doctor Who early sort of stuff that you can't see anymore, but it is popping up slowly. Don't know if all will come back, but fingers crossed. So yeah, so you've got Will Hartnell, which was sort of the first, there's a sort of grandfather figure there who's always like, Topping Dave, what? Sort of, and he could be quite he's sort of chipper in a way, but he could also be very brooding and very serious at times, and quite selfish actually. He put his companions in danger just because of his curiosity, but I guess that goes with most Doctors. That was followed up, which was also a really cool thing, because Bill was aging. He obviously wanted to stop doing this show, and they were going, well, how the heck are we going to keep this show going? It's an absolute hit at the moment. Hey, let's make it that he can regenerate into a different body, which was a big gamble, but it did pay off. Hence we've got, what, 11 Doctors now? So it was a huge task for Patrick Troughton, which was the follow-up Doctor, to fill the role of Doctor Who and create his own sort of persona, which they call him a bit of a clown sort of thing. But no, Pat Troughton is one of my favourite Doctors, not the favourite, but I have seen what I can see of his sort of stories, and he brought to the character a certain charm and a comedy sort of element as well. So he's fairly bumbling in a way. So, but he did a fantastic, and his first introduction story was against the Daleks. So yeah, he did quite well. On to my favourite Doctor now, which is John Pertwee. As I said, was one of the very first Doctor Who episodes I saw. So it's usually your first Doctor that you're usually most fond of. John Pertwee was more of the dashing action hero, and with a shock of curly white hair and frilly coats and whatnot. He'd always be doing Venusian karate or something like that, and he'd be punching on and kicking people's asses all over the place. And if not, he was doing stunts and stuff. He was a great era of Doctor Who was the third. Now, obviously, fourth era, Tom Baker, the one that everyone knows and loves, because he's probably one of the most well known, with the big scarf and the Edwardian looking clothes. So he was a nut. He'd always have these big eyes, and and he was, I don't know, he's a very interesting person, Tom Baker, and he could be mad, but yeah, very brooding at times, but and also he's just a very unique Doctor, and probably one of the most longest lasting, I think. Played the role for the Doctor the longest. So Tom Baker, obviously fantastic Doctor. Long after that, to me personally, it kind of went a little bit downhill. I don't know, the next Doctor, nothing against Peter Davison, which was the next Doctor, from all those great years as Tom Baker as the Doctor, and all the years prior, from 1963 up until I think it was 80, well, to say 82, I could be horribly wrong. Peter Davison came along. He was the youngest Doctor to date at that point. He looked like a cricketer, and I don't know, he played this sort of meeker, sort of a character that hurt more, and he was more of an emotional sort of Doctor, and he really didn't do it for me. And the show became very reliant on the companions at that point. I think you had Tegan, Nyssa, Turlo, even Adric at a point. God, he was annoying. Thank God he got killed. But I think Peter Davison, I've re-watched all his stuff recently, and I've tried to like him, but I can't. The only one that really stood out for me where his last one, sadly enough, really sort of came into, played that really sort of more of a heroic, and I don't know, he just seemed to have finally grasped it, and then it's obviously taken away. Next was another Baker for the Sixth Doctor. Now this poor chap, Colin Baker, was probably, well, outfitted with one of the most ghastly Doctor Who costumes, which looked like, I don't know, if you drank say 6 different colours of cordial and 8 Smarties and vomited it all up, you'd have his outfit, which was sort of, as you can see from the pics here, is pretty ghastly. So, but that was, I think, John Nathan Turner's, which was the producer at the time. That was kind of, he wanted the Doctors to have a sort of a stylised sort of uniform sort of feel to them. Now, I don't know, that the script writing during Colin Baker's era was pretty lacklustre. The stories aren't great, but he also is another one of my faves, even though he is regarded as one of the worst, and a lot of people don't like him. Even when I first watched him as a kid, I was like, I don't like this guy. But I've been watching them all again recently, because, as I said, you go through phases, like with most things. You re-watch this, like I'm with these bloody video games, I'm going back and playing all of them, hence why I'm here in the first place. Yeah, I went back and watched Colin Baker's, and I watched it sort of more as an adult, and sort of watching just his characteristics. Like, he can be an absolute swine of a Doctor. He's mad, he's arrogant, He's an absolute bastard. He just some of the things he says, especially in his first episode. But mind you, he's going over a bit of a bad time after regenerating. But he's just so quick-witted, but yeah, so boastful and arrogant, and so just deliciously clever and intelligent. Whereas the other doctors are always like, you know, I'm sort of the scientist, and you know, I'm like, oh, don't reverse the polarity, Joe. This guy, just the stuff he said was just very quick, off the cuff, and yeah, if you go back and rewatch it, give him another chance, because just ignore the crap scripts and the bad stories, and just watch it for Colin's portrayal of the Doctor. It's just absolutely fantastic. So, Colin Baker, probably my second, my second favourite Doctor. Probably third, Tom Baker. Now, after that, Sylvester McCoy came in as the 7th Doctor after a couple of years' break. I think the Doctor Who got cancelled for a while, and then came back with, I think, the last story of Colin Baker's, and then sort of rolled into, I think, a couple of years later, don't quote me on this, with Sylvester McCoy stuff, which was... Sylvester McCoy is more of a comic actor. He really didn't grab me at the time. I remember I was, I think it was about grade 5 or grade 6, in school, and I was watching with my other friend who we'd watched all the way from growing up, one of my neighbourhood friends, and we sort of saw Sylvester McCoy, and we're just like, another one that just didn't grow on me. I don't know, just Ace. I didn't really enjoy Ace. I enjoyed Davros, and he had some good like stories with the Cybermen and the Daleks and all that sort of stuff, but sadly, I just couldn't get into his portrayal of the Doctor. After that came Paul McGann with the Doctor Who Telemovie. And this was a fair few years later after Survivor, which was the last story from the 7th Doctor, where most of us sort of thought, well, Doctor Who's dead and gone forever. They made this sort of Americanized telemovie, which was, I don't know, hit or miss. There was some quite a lot of Americanisms in it, which was very, very Hollywood. I don't know. I liked the Doctor. He sort of reverted back to that old Edwardian sort of, just that sort of, you know, more classier sort of Doctor, as opposed to sort of the comical sort of, yeah, and I don't know. He played a great Doctor, but the movie kind of was a letdown. I was actually hoping after that movie, I remember at the time I was saying to one of my friends, like, if this guy's going to be the Doctor and they break off into a series, how amazing would that be? But unfortunately, nothing happened from there on for quite some years. Then all of a sudden, Christopher Eccleston, which I actually originally saw in Alien 3, was named as playing the Doctor, the role of the Doctor, in a new revamped series, which I'm sure a lot of you are actually probably currently watching right now. This was, to me, I was excited because Doctor Who was back again. It had got a huge budget, because Doctor Who had always had these really bad sort of creatures, like you know, you'd have some tin foil sort of, you know, covered guys that were like, you know, the monsters, and it was just renowned for bad effects. But yeah, the BBC had put in a lot more money. They've obviously got the obviously with the computing sort of doing special effects and stuff is obviously a lot cheaper than what it was to do back in the day. They just revamped it, and they did it absolutely amazingly. It did sort of lack that horror element that the earlier Doctor Who's had. It was more of an action drama, bit of romance with Rose and here and that. It did kind of lose its way in a sense, but once again, we're not living in the past, and it's catering for a new slew of people or fans that are going to be watching the show, and he's absolutely taken off. So yeah, Christopher Eccleston played a fantastic Doctor as well. Do highly recommend you do check his stuff out. Only signed on for one season, didn't want to get stuck to the name of the Doctor and wanted to do other things, and then came in another fantastic, probably one of the most, I think one of the most, I don't know, loved, because he's such an attractive man. David Tennant was the 10th Doctor. He brought it back to what I think Doctor Who was all about. His portrayal was kind of, he's kind of John Pertwee crossed Tom Baker, plus his own sort of brand of I don't know, just charm. He just, I don't know, I think he had a great personality, and there was a lot of sort of throwbacks to the earlier seasons, and just sort of like a lot of nods toward the older sort of stuff, like with Sarah Jane Smith coming back and things like that. It wasn't K9 was in it as well, that's right. So yeah, as I said, obviously sort of putting a smile on my face, so it's nostalgic for me as well. So, and he played it for I think 2 or 3 seasons, I can't quite remember. And when he finally regenerated after that, he was very, very sorely missed, and even it's nearly sort of the tears well up in his final episode. Actually, I remember when I actually first saw David Tennant or Eccleston regenerate into David Tennant's Doctor. I was like, gosh, I actually didn't like him. Watched his first Christmas special and was just like, oh, this guy's amazing. So yeah, it's amazing how like they can grow on you. But yeah, Tennant is probably, from my newer sort of side of Doctor Who, is one of my all-time favourites. So, and after his fantastic portrayal, now we've got Matt Smith, which is, I can't comment too much on Matt Smith's portrayal because I've kind of stopped watching it. I kind of got a little bit over the new series. I watched a couple of Matt Smith stories and I was like, yeah, cool. I'm just not quite sold on him, so I'm going to have to go back in the next couple of weeks and actually watch some of Matt Smith's stuff, because all the young'uns are raving about it, and us oldies are a bit more apprehensive, I think. So, but I will have to go back and watch that. So, yeah. So, Doctor Who, one of my favourite shows, and probably forever will be, growing up. Obviously, if you guys have watched it before, you know exactly why I'm here and why I'm sort of raving about it. So, yeah, and like over the years, like it's like even if you go to the shops now, you've got all these brand new like little merchandise. Like, you've got like these little figurines, like Lego figurines and stuff like that. You've got like little action figures and stuff. Like I remember when I was growing up as a kid, it was like I'd kill for a Doctor Who action figure, and all they had was like, I think they had a Sylvester McCoy, a T-Trap action figure, Mel, and a TARDIS, and that was a really sort of about it. Sorry, and it was few and far between. You maybe had a Cyberman and a Sea Devil, but now there's just shitloads of them. It's like it's Star Wars. There's just all sorts of figures to be had, but they are quite costly, hence I don't have any. But I probably will. eBay me thinks after this video. But yeah, you go into what we have over in Australia, an ABC shop, and just kind of they have ABC's like they have a lot of British television on that, and actually have a shop for that. And you go in there, and there's like an entire Doctor Who section, and for all the Doctor Who fans that have been starved of Doctor Who, to actually go in there and just go, oh my god, all the DVDs, and yeah, it's just really, really exciting. And they're even bringing back, pardon me, I'll be off camera for 2 seconds, maybe 3. There's my stupid scarf then. And even these scarves they've re-released, which is quite nice. And this is a full-length Tom Baker scarf, which is thanks to my beautiful wife for getting this one for me. But they're also re-releasing these. I'm pretty sure all the old Doctor Who fans would recognise the old Target novels from back in the day. So I've got tons of these things. But I've noticed they're re-releasing these ones. I don't know if it might be Penguin Books now. I'm not too sure if they're. But the covers look the same, the spine's a little bit different, but technically it's the same sort of thing, which is really cool to, as I said, me collecting these as a kid, seeing them back in the shops is really, really cool. So, yeah, so that's basically all I have to say about Doctor Who. If I do have any recommendations, it would be good to start at the first episode, The Unearthly Child with Bill Hartnell, just to see where it all started, to go all the way back and see where it started, and then sort of go, oh, okay, cool, and maybe just sort of go one from each Doctor and sort of find who you like and who you can stick with and watch. Even the new series is fantastic, and as I said, I'm going to give Matt Smith another chance. Don't prove me right, Matt Smith. I want to like you. So, but yes, happy birthday to Doctor Who. Happy anniversary, not happy birthday, whatever. happy 50th anniversary. Thank you for being a part of my life, from all the way from a 3-year-old child. Gosh, what were my parents thinking? Watching all sorts of crazy Martians and things like that. Up until the point now where I'm just about to hit 35, I think probably in about a week or so. It's been with me that long, and it will be with me until I probably die. So thanks Doctor Who, thanks BBC, thanks for all the writers for creating such a great and thriving science fiction show, and I hope you're all the best for the future, and yes, thanks for the memories.